Hello, everyone. I'm Toby Blue. Welcome to Proof of Concept.
And I'm Jason Rabinowitz. This show is brought to you by the Tasting Alliance, home to the world's most prestigious and respected spirits competitions, including the San Francisco, New York, Asia, and Latin America World Spirits competitions.
The Tasting Alliance was founded by my father, Anthony Dias Blue, a pioneer who believed true craftsmanship deserves to be celebrated and that passion and integrity should always define excellence. That spirit lives on through the makers we feature here.
In each episode, we share the journeys of visionaries pushing for something extraordinary. Even the word proof, rooted in 16th century tests of a spirit's strength, reminds us that every great idea needs evidence it can work.
But at its core, Proof of Concept isn't just about spirits, it's about spirit. Dreaming big, taking risks, and building something meaningful. From grain to glass to gold, actually double gold to be more precise. These are the stories of trials, tribulations, and ultimately triumph.
So whether you love whiskey, gin, tequila, or simply the power of perseverance, you're in the right place.
This is Proof of Concept.
We dedicate this series to my father-in-law and Toby's father, Anthony Dias Blue, whose passion and pursuit of excellence continue to guide and inspire us.
Today, we bring you a story rooted in heritage, resilience, and a deep respect for American whiskey tradition. Our guest is Kate Latts, co-president of Heaven Hill Distillery, one of the last remaining family-owned distilleries in Kentucky, built on the belief that independence, patience, and people matter just as much as what's in the barrel.
Heaven Hill has the singular distinction of being the nation's largest independent, family-owned and led spirits company of brands, as well as the world's second largest holder of Kentucky bourbon. It's a cornerstone of American whiskey. Founded in 1935, just after Prohibition, what began as a leap of faith by the Shapira family has grown into one of the world's most influential distillers, while remaining fiercely independent and deeply rooted in Bardstown, Kentucky.
Representing the third generation of leadership, Kate now helps steward a nearly 90-year legacy built on craftsmanship, independence, and long-term thinking. Raised in Kentucky and shaped by both family values and outside experience, Kate earned a degree in economics from Duke University and an MBA from Duke's Fuqua School of Business. She began her career at Procter & Gamble, gaining critical experience in consumer marketing and brand strategy before returning to Heaven Hill in 2001.
Over more than 2 decades, Kate's helped guide the company's growth across marketing and strategy, and in 2022 was named co-president alongside her husband, Alan Latts, following a deliberate generational transition from her father, Max Shapira. Her leadership emphasizes authenticity, disciplined execution, and a people-first culture.
Today, Heaven Hill oversees one of the most respected and diverse portfolios in the spirits world, spanning American whiskey, tequila, vodka, rum, and so many more, all unified by a commitment to quality and consumer trust. The Heaven Hill banner includes iconic American whiskey brands such as their Heaven Hill, Evan Williams, Elijah Craig, Larceny, Old Fitzgerald, Henry McKenna, bourbons, Carolina Irish Cream, and many, many more.
Heaven Hill's commitment has been proven repeatedly under blind judging at the Tasting Alliance's San Francisco and New York World Spirits competitions, where for the second year in a row, Heaven Hill brands have made it into the most awarded U.S. distillery, earning a staggering 90 medals across its portfolio, including 15 double gold and 15 gold awards. A testament to decades of consistency, integrity, and craft, as well as reaffirming Heaven Hill's position as a leader in American whiskey and spirits.
Kate's journey is about stewardship, protecting a legacy built long before her time, while ensuring it thrives for generations to come. So settle in, pour yourself a glass of something you love, and let's begin. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
The glove.
Love being here.
It's necessary. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Got to feel seen.
Absolutely. On the snowy cold day.
Yes, on the snowy cold day in New York. Heaven Hill was founded in 1935, just after Prohibition, by 5 brothers with nothing to fall back on. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Sure. So you mentioned in your intro that we were almost celebrating our 90th anniversary. We actually just celebrated our 90th anniversary, December 13th, 1935. Yes, it was at the height of the Depression when my grandfather and his 4 brothers, just after Prohibition, decided to get into this venture. Now, it wasn't that they had nothing to fall back on. They actually had a very successful business, which enabled them to invest as silent partners in the founding of Heaven Hill at the time. The family's business was small retail department stores in small towns in Kentucky. My great-grandfather came from Lithuania in the late 1800s with a pack on his back.
Sure. Like you
had
do.
the little push card in central Kentucky, ended up opening a store, was doing pretty well. And then as his sons became of age, he actually passed away at a pretty young age. And my great-grandmother is really who shepherded the continuing growth of these stores and the raising of her 5 sons as a single mom
in Kentucky
in the
1910.
teens, 20s, right? Exactly.
Wow.
So as they got older, each of those boys was running a different store, centralized in Bardstown, Kentucky, New Haven, other small towns in central Kentucky. So they were quite successful with this venture. So as many distilleries were opening up just after Prohibition, people came to my grandfather, who was in Bardstown and running the stores there, and said, do you and your brother want to do this? And my dad says it still was while they had a successful business, like they didn't know anything about distilled spirits. They didn't know anything about making bourbon by any means. And it was the middle of the Depression, very conservative people. And yeah, they did. So then furthermore, they were going to be silent partners. But after like a couple of years, the people who really knew what they were doing had financial problems and needed to be bought out.
Really?
And that was the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah.
They were in the right place at the right time.
Well, so it's
Post-Prohibition Kentucky bourbon.
Well, 90 years later, yes, but there was a lot of, you could say that, but there was a lot of fledgling moments along the way. Because if you think about it, they get into this, you're not selling anything for a number of years.
Yeah.
And then just when they're like getting ramped up and everything's starting to click, they've launched this brand, Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, the original Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, which is doing great. America goes to war.
Yeah.
And the distillery gets shut down in 1942 and had to make alcohol, I guess, for the war effort.
Wow.
So that was another situation. Yeah.
Wow. There must be so many stories like that over 90 years of any business is just going to come under fire.
Totally.
Then we'll get to that.
Yes.
Yeah, the one in your tenure.
Yes.
Later.
Looking back at the Shapiro brothers, which founding values still guide Heaven Hill's decisions 90 years later?
Absolutely. 3. Hard work, perseverance, and passion. So again, I'm curious about the original passion because I don't know that any of them particularly had passion for American whiskey. But once they got into this, the concept of these family business and passion around the family became the initial passion that then fueled into the business. And today, it's not just a job. It's our family. It's our legacy.
Right.
And everyone who we bring into the Heaven Hill extended family, we want them to have that same kind of passion.
I'm curious. Like it's bourbon is so local, right? Like it is a Kentucky thing. Was that one of the things that you think really drew them? And how did you, as a child, see any of that like taking place there?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, well, first of all, I don't even think of bourbon being so local anymore.
Sure, it isn't.
We've taken bourbon to the whole world.
Right.
And now there's distilleries all over the country.
Yeah.
Obviously, bourbon has to be made in the United States, but it can be made in any state. Although we'd like to say the best bourbon is largely still made in Kentucky, except our Widow Jane that's made right here in Brooklyn.
I know them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're fabulous people. But, the whole world back in 1935 was local. They didn't have the internet. You didn't really know what was going on in New York City or anywhere else. So I think you only knew your local. So I'm not sure that was like a big driver. Like they knew their small town and they knew Louisville as the big city, right? Where they would go to. But as a kid, just a little bit of a different lens, just so much pride.
Right.
In knowing that this was my family's business and legacy. And I have memories of asking your friends as a kid, like, what do your parents do? And them being like, I don't know, they go to an office.
Yeah.
And me being like, what? What do you mean you don't know what your parents do?
Yeah.
And then like my 5th grade class, I remember, came on a field trip to come to Heaven Hill.
Yeah.
And there's this picture still that I can have like very firm in my memory of standing on like the outside of one of the warehouses. My dad is like holding court, telling everybody about the company or what they're saying. And I'm behind him, and you can just see like the pride on my face. So I just always remember it being such a source of joy and pride. And I always say growing up in a family business is a unique paradigm.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's the only one I know.
Yeah. It makes sense.
So it has been said that strong brands are built slowly and recognized suddenly. Was there an early moment before the whiskey boom when Heaven Hill chose the harder, longer path over the easier one?
Well, I think we continue to make decisions always for the long term. And it's always sourced in quality and authenticity. And I think we've been talking a lot about this, as there's been some softness in the industry and in bourbon and what was us? What's everyone doing? Well, if you go back to sort of the 80s, 90s, when bourbon wasn't, what it became today, there were brands that this was the beginning of their histories. Brands as commercial, big, huge brands. Like this is when Maker's Mark was born.
Wow.
This is when Jack Daniels was like getting its flywheel really going, right? And it was because they weren't chasing the trend. They were finding their own true, unique identity and sticking to it. And I like to think Heaven Hill has done a lot of that along the way as well. But, even when there's highs and lows, if you're sticking to what is authentic about your brand and what is your reason for being, then you weather. You weather, the highs and lows of a category, because brands always rise above a category. Because there's always people out there drinking, consuming whatever category it is, lotions, nail polish, frozen food, whatever it is.
Quality.
Yeah.
Believer in quality. I'm a big believer in quality. Yeah.
Your leadership transition was carefully planned across generations. What does stewardship mean to you in a company built to outlast its leaders?
Yeah. So when my dad, so many things to talk about in this space, when my dad decided it was time for him to move into the executive chairman role, he came to my husband and I. I had been chief marketing officer for a long time. My husband was chief operating officer. We've been at the company for just over 20 years at the time. And he said, it's time. I want you all to take over leadership. And at first I was like, what? Me? I'm not sure I'm built for this. Like, what? And it was really the perfect timing for me. My kids, we had just become empty nesters, and my husband and I have worked together for a really long time. And we both leaned in and were like, how are we going to do this? And it's been such a rewarding experience on so many levels. But, the pressure is intense.
Yeah.
Right? Because it isn't just like I was with a colleague who's running a very large company in our industry who has sort of the perspective, I'm really great. And if this doesn't work out, I can go do a lot of other things. And it takes some of the pressure off what she's doing.
When it's less personal. But
for
this
us,
is personal.
This is deeply personal, right?
Yeah.
It's deeply personal. Our family is counting on us, and that's a lot of pressure, but in an exciting sort of way.
Well, it can also be fuel, one would imagine,
Absolutely.
right? Like you go an extra mile that person may not go
100%.
because you're like, no, there is no fail here.
Right.
Yeah.
When you and Alan became co-presidents, what felt non-negotiable to protect from day one?
What was non-negotiable? Well, when we're really angry with each other,
Yeah, I would imagine
we try and give the
challenging.
difficult feedback in the office. But we are not ones to only talk about work at work. Like,
Right.
I talk a lot about not work-life balance, but work-life integration. And again, when it's your family's business, like it's just integrated in everything
Wow.
we do. So we don't not talk about work when we're at home. In fact, some of our best ideas come from when we're on a hike in Mallorca, or on a kayak and wherever.
Yeah.
But if we're aggravated with one another, we try and leave that at the office.
I can't imagine how hard it must be to co-lead with a spouse. That's the thing.
Usually it's so weird how, and it was like this with my dad too. Like when the kids were little, there would be something where my dad would have made us angry in the office or something. And there was this whole situation on Friday, just pretend.
Right.
And then so irritated. And then we go out to dinner and my mom's there and the kids are there. And somehow,
It's
3 hours later, 2 hours later, and it's just fine.
Yeah, it's compartmentalized.
But it's
somehow.
like not intentionally compartmentalizing.
Sure.
It just subconsciously happens, unconsciously
Absolutely.
happens.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Seamless.
bizarre.
I think that takes a special person to, or whatever. Maybe it's bred in over the generations.
Well, he was raised in that as well.
Exactly.
You know, it
Totally.
Yeah. So Heaven Hill was named a best managed company in both 2024 and 2025 by Deloitte Private and the Wall Street Journal.
Wow.
What does that distinction represent for you?
Really great. You all mentioned that, my leadership is very people first and Heaven Hill is a very people first place. We pride ourselves on it being part of that family. Like I said, like when we hire people, they're coming into the whole family.
Yeah.
And we want them to feel that connection too. So our people matter a lot in how we treat our people and how we work together. We are our corporate saying is we thrive together, thriving together to win. And so much pride. The way that award works is Deloitte recommends companies, the very, very few handful of companies that they think are worthy of winning this. And they came to us and said, we want to put them forward. And
based on presumably like employees being like, I love this place. Yeah. This is my place.
Yeah. And our track record of success and growth over the years and being a great place to work.
Yeah.
And,
That's
so
incredible.
It was very exciting.
Well, congratulations on that.
You.
Was there a moment, perhaps around the 90-year mark, when the weight of leading Heaven Hill truly set in?
Well, I remember the day of the 90th anniversary. There was so much lead up to the 90th anniversary. We kind of celebrated it all last year, called it the Road to 90. And then we were talking about the snowy weather and the weather in Louisville. We do not usually get snow in Louisville before January, right? But it was going to be Friday the 13th actually Friday the 12th was the big event. And it was going to be out in Bardstown at our new Heaven Hill Springs distillery. Right. And the way we were doing it was my husband and I do these Copo lives twice a year. They're like a big town hall. Well, this was going to be that gets broadcast to the whole company. This was going to be a live Copo live with a whole big celebration and blah, blah, blah. Well, we were expecting snow. And, and if it's bad in Louisville, it's 10 times worse in Bardstown.
Sure, yeah.
So there was so much drama leading up to it, yada, yada. How are we going to navigate this? And we get there. It's all, everybody navigated. It was fine. A lot of people couldn't come. But we get there. And all of a sudden, I'm like thinking like the momentousness of this occasion. Like that my grandfather and his brothers would be like,
hit you.
Whoa, this is like a moment.
Yeah.
This is big.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I have a curiosity question here. How do you keep it feeling like a family at that scale? Like any words of wisdom?
Well, it's very ingrained in me. I'm such a people person. That's why I got into marketing in the first place because I'm obsessed with how people choose things, how people behave the way they do.
Yeah.
We do my dad was such an amazing role model in this. When he used to work out in Bardstown, every day he would have lunch in like the same lunchroom as our manufacturing employees.
I read somewhere that he knew everybody's kids' names.
I know their pets.
Yeah.
I know pets' names, children's names. Yeah. We handwrite letters to everyone who's received a promotion at Heaven Hill, no matter where you are in the company. So
wonderful.
So thus far, we've been able to continue to scale.
Good answer.
Sometimes at after our performance review season, and a lot of people get promoted or whatever. Yeah. Oh, the hand gets very tired.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
The 1996 fire is often seen as a defining moment. How did it permanently change how Heaven Hill thinks about people, risk, and responsibility?
Should we describe a little about what that was?
Sure.
You lost
7 warehouses burnt down.
7 warehouses.
I think it was like 2% of the world's supply.
2% of the world's supply of bourbon disappeared in an afternoon.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But now I forgot exactly what percentage of our inventory it was, but
It wasn't 100%.
No,
It
like
was
less than 20.
okay.
Yeah,
But
like,
that's
yeah. It was a
significant
big
hit.
deal. I mean, it was a
Significant.
big deal. It was national news. It was like an inferno in
Yeah.
Bardstown
Gee
of
whiz.
burning bourbon.
You have all
Lava
this
flowing down.
flammable liquid, like, gee whiz.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what that is. And then,
How did it permanently change?
Well, hold
how-
on. Let me give a little bit more background.
Yes,
It was,
please.
I was not living there. I lived in Cincinnati. My husband and I is when we were working
Procter
for Procter &
Gamble.
Gamble.
right.
And it apparently was some windy day, and they think it was lightning
Oh,
that
wow.
struck. And it was super windy.
Yeah.
So the fire sped from one warehouse to another.
Oh,
and the
my
way
God.
Heaven Hills campus is, our original distillery was down the hill. So the warehouses at the top of the hill caught on fire, and literally the wind and then the bourbon flowing down the hill
Oh,
jumped the road and got to the distillery.
oh,
And fortunately, no one was hurt.
that's a miracle.
And the next day, my dad said, no one's losing their job. We're here to rebuild. And one silver lining was that this was not in a time period where there
Right.
was super constrained inventory or production capacity. And it is a very collaborative industry, always has been.
Mm.
And, within a couple of weeks, we were back producing at some of our peer production distillery facilities. Our
Wow.
recipe, our yeast, the yeast was fine. And yeah, so it was a
Wow.
really collaborative moment for the industry in how everybody came together to support us. And, just really rebuilt from there.
That speaks
Incredible.
volumes too to the culture of the industry that they would be not like, ha ha.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Resilience.
Yeah.
So how did that experience shape Heaven Hill's belief in redundancy, patience, and long-term investment?
Well, I wouldn't actually say that back then we were so like crazy strategic about it. It was really, it was a long time ago, and the
Yeah,
company was very
survival.
different from how it was. Our bottling facility was not impacted.
Mm.
And I don't remember at the time what percentage of our business was bourbon, but by then we were already highly diversified in
Mhm.
vodka, rum,
Mhm.
tequila, everything. I wasn't working in the business, as I said. I was
Right.
at Procter & Gamble.
Right.
But they just put their shoes on, came to work the next day, and kept on going. We still had bourbon to bottle and
Right.
and all these sort of things. So
There was work to be done.
there was work to be done. There was definitely work to be done. But from a redundancy perspective, it's hard. We're in that place now because we have our Bernheim distillery and we have our Heaven Hill Springs distillery. So we do have flexibility that we've never had before. I wouldn't say that was intentional from a risk perspective, but just more of a flexibility of optionality more than risk concept. But so this was in 1996. We then bought the Bernheim facility in 1999. And that has been our largest facility for making bourbon since then.
But you rebuilt the Bardstown.
Just in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So just with the opening of Heaven Hill Springs last year,
Right.
it was a big year, 90th anniversary opening of Heaven Hill Springs,
Mm.
was really our return to Bardstown,
Mm.
of distilling in Bardstown, which was very exciting for the community, for Heaven Hill, all the things.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a little bit, Heaven Hill is the most awarded U.S. distillery at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. What does that level of recognition mean inside the organization?
Fabulous. I mean, fabulous. And, part of it is we've been here for 90 years, right? You guys haven't been here quite that long, but we've been here for 90 years. And many of our brands have existed not all the way for 90 years, except for Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond. But, we've been doing the same thing for a really long time, the same methods, the same quality, the same consistency. So it's not surprising that this taste profile speaks to your judges. It's obviously all blind tasting
Mm-hmm.
because we're really proud of the products that we make. We've been doing it a long time, a lot of time to perfect how and what we do.
Absolutely. So you bring up a good point. So when your spirits are judged blind, without history or reputation, what does that validate about Heaven Hill's approach to craft?
100%. We always say, obviously, a bazillion craft small entities have popped up over the past 10, whatever years. And we're like the original craft. This whole industry is craft.
Right.
We take 3 grains and some yeast and some water. Like what could be more natural than that? We age it in wood. Like everything we do is built around it being a craft. And then we put it in a bottle. Like the process we use for putting in the bottle is probably the least crafty oriented part of the whole thing. But what is in that bottle is just like, think of all the things we buy. Think of all the things we consume in our bodies, on your bodies, whatever.
Takis.
Like Takis, right? Opposite end of the spectrum as bourbon, right?
Exactly.
So it's pretty cool when you think about what we're doing. So it's not a surprise that we've been doing this in the exact same way for this long and continue to get the results we do.
It's incredible. So Heaven Hill has stayed independent while many peers consolidated. What uncomfortable decisions made that possible?
There was never a moment in time where we were going to do anything besides remain independent and private. There just was never a need. I mean, our brands and our acquisitions have enabled us to have the capital to do whatever we've wanted. We've been able to continue to grow. We've invested so much of the profits continually back into the business, has enabled that growth and diversification. So there was never any difficult decisions of intentionality of should we, shouldn't we. That was just has never been part of the equation at
That
all.
to me says it's all about the passion of what you're doing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
One thing that it really enables us, being private, is this consistency of the leadership, obviously at the family level, but then also consistency of across all of our leaders, that we're not a churn and burn, big, huge entity that's putting in a new brand manager of Elijah Craig every 18 months. And, it's time for a new campaign. Wow, I need to change the package on Evan Williams. I'm new. I have to make my mark before I move on to that next thing.
It's like when you say it, it's like, why would anybody do that?
I mean, right.
Well, that's such a good point. But I've worked with big companies, Fortune 50 companies, where that's just
the way it is.
That's the way it is. Every 18 months, there's a turnover.
100%.
And they move people around all the time. And it's just
What's the thinking?
freshness. There's just, it's just how they operate.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Like our sales
I mean,
leadership.
Procter & Gamble, I'm sure, was
100%.
very much like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Our sales leadership, I mean, we're so focused on relationships. We can truly get in there and develop those relationships, and matters. It makes a difference.
Makes a big difference. Have there been moments when profitable shortcuts were rejected to protect long-term trust?
That's a great question. Not really. Not really. We are not a company that is going to change the way we do something to make a shortcut and jump out of industry norms or ways of doing something. We're too protective of the way we do things to really be tempted to do
But
that.
no opportunities of like falling into your lap where you're like, nah.
Certainly not things that aren't industry standard.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, we're always looking for opportunities with packaging to save costs. Does this brand need a back label, or does this brand really need that thing that goes around the neck that you have to apply by hand? Or on this brand, could we maybe do it in a little bit of a different way? So I'm not to say we're not always looking for cost savings opportunities and ways to do things more efficiently, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's just good business. Yeah.
Sure.
As Heaven Hill marks 90 years, why has a people-first culture remained such a competitive advantage?
Well, kind of what we were talking about, we're still small enough. We like to say we're the smallest of the big. And being smallest of the big, again, consistent leadership, again, being able to handwrite promotion letters to every single person, knowing people's kids' names and dogs' names and all of the things. And we have such high engagement scores. People love working at Heaven Hill. And, as we've continued to grow and diversify, there's been amazing opportunities for people to grow their careers at Heaven Hill as well.
Right.
So, because you think about, the downside of working a smaller company is there isn't the opportunity to go move on to that brand and that brand and that brand over every 18-month cycle. But on the other side, people who, again, have the passion for what they're doing. And so then they're excited to get to have longevity doing what they're doing.
You mentioned that
America needs more of that.
very much.
Very much.
So you mentioned that you unveiled a new tagline last year, Thriving Together. Tell us what that represents for you and the company.
Absolutely. Even as we have gotten bigger and we've certainly added so many like niche capabilities. Like we used to be a company when we came to the business even 25 years ago, everybody had to wear many hats, right? Because there just weren't that many people.
Sure.
And as we've grown, and the world has gotten much more complex, our business is so much more complex. And we have, tax experts and data scientists and consumer insights people and, much more specialized roles. It was important that we certainly don't waste resources by having people working on things in silos. People, God forbid, two different groups working on the exact same thing because they don't know that the other is kind of working on it. So really doubling down on the importance of collaboration cross-functionally to leverage all of these capabilities that we've added we just saw as a really great opportunity.
Yeah. To my point earlier, that's sort of the culture of those Fortune 50 companies where they have these silos and these different people competing against each other, and it just becomes toxic.
It feels like it's like run by an algorithm. That's just like not human.
Well, and just not efficient. Like even the biggest of companies have limited resources. Like when I had an amazing experience at Procter & Gamble. Don't want to say anything badly, but it's just such a big company. Like I remember being in marketing, I worked in healthcare, like new product development. It was like a line of women's healthcare products and working on the consumer insights and the packaging and what the products could possibly be. And in a completely different silo, the product development people are working on the exact same ideas. Same thing. They have their own insights people. They have their own packaging and everybody's doing this. And maybe at some point these converge, but a lot of duplication of resources.
Absolutely. So how has leading in a historically male-dominated industry shaped the way you approach leadership, inclusion, and succession?
I ran marketing, chief marketing officer for Heaven Hill for a really long time. And the marketing organization was almost too many women. Like we weren't diverse enough from a male perspective. In contrast, it has been hard work developing leadership within our sales organization of women. Hard work, hard work. And the distributor tier is really where they still have made very little progress with sales leadership. And part of it is, to try and defend the industry, a lot of women opt out of this industry.
Sales
in various roles. Sales is hard.
Yeah,
in this industry, it's nighttime oriented. It's a lot of dinners. And it's just not a choice.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it's people don't feel like they could have opportunities and so forth. Although I do a lot in this space. I was at earlier this week here in New York, a group of women of senior executives, C-suite people have gotten together on the supplier side largely, and they've come together and we have like quarterly meetings and whatnot. And this group of people is really committed to making sure women have positive experiences as maybe more positive experience than any of us who've been in the industry for a really long time. So there's a lot of opportunity. But this was interesting. There was a young woman there who's an entrepreneur, actually in one of the like non-alcoholic kind of spaces. And she and her co-founder's a man. She's a woman. And she was told, they made a presentation, maybe to a retailer, that next time have the man make the presentation. Have her co-founder make the presentation.
Wow.
Yeah. I literally just heard this story like 2 days ago. I'm like, oh dear. So I don't know that it's just distinct in our industry. But,
for sure it is not.
This is from a Heaven Hill perspective, kind of sad. We had our executive leadership team, our chief HRO, chief human resources officer was a woman. Our general counsel was a woman. And unfortunately, both of them, one left, another one is leaving. Other great opportunities, love them both. And their backfills are both men. And we had to pick the person who was right at the
yeah.
moment for these roles.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I have had some of our up and coming women come to me over the past couple of weeks and be like, so sad. Like,
Yeah.
you're now the only woman.
Yeah.
Me being the only woman.
Yeah.
Our chief of staff is a woman also.
How intentional does leadership have to be to protect culture as operations scale and visibility grows?
Oh, leadership is a continually evolving thing, not just as you're scaling, but as the business environment changes also. Certainly as the company has scaled, and this was a challenge of former generations of, empowering and letting go of things and empowering other people to do them. And, you hear a lot about the word empowerment, and this can be a challenging thing in a family business when we are so passionate about it ourselves. And there is so much pressure, and there is a little bit of it. That's a little bit of a difference, like versus the person I was talking about. But we have to caution against not being involved in the areas we don't need to be involved in. And this is hard.
Yeah.
This
I know.
is a hard thing.
I
This is a
know.
hard thing. So that is for sure challenging. The other thing of business conditions. This requires a different type of leadership too. And we've actually been talking, I've heard this now vernacular. I'm sure it's not just true in our industry, but peacetime leaders and wartime leaders.
All right.
And, we've been saying the industry is a little bit in a market share battle now, where it's a different, rising tides are not lifting all boats.
Right.
So this requires different sets of behaviors. So knowing, observing the changing landscape and knowing what type of leadership is needed when, where, and I'm a big believer in situational leadership. It varies person to person. This person might have real strengths in this area and you need to lead them like this and this, but these are some gaps for that person and you need to be more engaged or lead them in a different sort of way.
Are you doing
This
this
is
all
something-
intuitively, or did you?
It's pretty-
Did you read books?
Both.
Both.
I think it comes pretty intuitively to me.
Right.
But it's something I navigate a lot.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Heaven Hill is often described as both a steward of heritage and a quiet innovator. How do you decide when a brand needs evolution and when it needs restraint?
Yeah. Well, it starts with the positioning, the authentic positioning of any given brand. What is a brand about, and what type of innovation is important, what type of relevance is important, because you want a brand to stick to its authentic roots, but yet at the same time, you have to remain relevant to where consumers are today. So that balancing act is definitely something we consider. A brand like, I know we're mostly talking about bourbon today, but a brand like Deep Eddy is a perfect example where this is a brand that reinvented, was a disruptor in the flavored vodka space. Flavored vodkas, like sweet, when their first big innovation was sweet tea vodka. And it came out when sweet tea vodkas were kind of already passé a little. But Deep Eddy renovated how disrupted sweet tea vodka by using real tea. And so that is what that brand is about, disrupting those flavors. So it has to be a flavor that can be disrupted for it to be a Deep Eddy flavor. So you have to stick to what your brand is all about. Now, that doesn't mean that Deep Eddy now shouldn't move into other types of flavors where that can hold true. So that's the way to stick to your authenticity, but also remain relevant. So these are the things our marketing teams are pretty skilled at in knowing, very intentionally what a brand is all about, who the consumer is, and what does that consumer need and can get from that particular brand. And, we have many bourbon brands to choose from. So, Elijah Craig might stand for something different from Larceny, which is a little more playful, fun, edgy. Elijah Craig's not going to go in the playful, edgy cat space. So they play off of one another.
Wild.
With new bottled in bond releases and modern hospitality investments, how do you modernize without diluting trust?
Again, I think it goes to kind of what we were talking about, sticking true to what that brand is all about. There's been a lot of innovation and experimentation in the bourbon industry for over the past 10, 15 years. And you're not going to see Heaven Hill. We used to joke, we're not going to be making a bourbon out of quinoa. That's just not in our DNA, but people have.
Right.
People have. That's just not us. We're not going to make an Evan Williams bubblegum flavor bourbon.
Fireball.
We're just
Yeah.
not going to do that. Well, we do have a cinnamon.
Oh, you did?
We do have
yeah?
a cinnamon Evan Williams.
Oh, wow.
But so it's understanding how far can you push innovation
Interesting.
to still be within what we
Right.
have as our guardrails of
mindset,
authenticity.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then are those bright lines
Mhm.
decided by you and Alan or committee, or
Yeah.
does Max get involved in any of that? or-
Well, we have amazing bourbon leadership, again, who's
Right.
been engaged and involved with Heaven Hill for a long time.
Yeah.
So they know.
Yeah.
They just know. They've come up and grown their careers, their involvement, their engagement, knowing where those lines
Mhm.
are.
Yeah.
And so
it's-
those are
it's an-
things that we really can be empowering on.
Interesting.
Like there's never been any innovations where we're like, what are they thinking?
Right.
Well, actually, there was going to be a Deep Eddy idea. And I was like, absolutely not. That is
But
not in keeping with the
That's
brand.
a thing I'm just putting together. It's like taste
Mhm.
and the people with taste, whatever, dimension the taste is in, whether it be in marketing or just understanding of a brand or in a song and music, like knowing where the line is the people that have that skill, they go far. So I think that is, there's a lot to be said about knowing where that line is in terms of success. I think so.
Yeah. Talking back to flavor vodka, some of the innovators who really went crazy. I mean, this is like, circa 2013 or whatever, when some of the flavors that started coming out by some of our competitors were coming out, it just jumped the shark.
Mm.
And then the consumer, they didn't know where the line was.
Right.
They pushed the line too much and really kind of killed the category.
Right.
Yeah.
Because consumers were like, what am I drinking? This is an industry that is now wanting me to drink what? Cookie dough? Cookie dough vodka? Maybe I should just not drink vodka.
Right.
Yeah.
The opening of Heaven Hill Springs Distillery marked a return to Bardstown after decades away. What did that moment represent personally?
Oh, we talked a lot about the fire. And, since 1996, we had not been producing bourbon in Bardstown. So it was an incredible experience from planning stages to groundbreaking to seeing the construction all the way through. And it's just such a beautiful property. And it's set in this beautiful piece of land that we've like planted wildflowers. And it's like we've planted trees and arboretum. And it's sort of like could become almost a park space for the city of Bardstown. And it's right really in the heart of Bardstown. So it all had happening in the same year as our 90th anniversary was really cool because Bardstown is such the historic heart of the company for sure. And now the flexibility that we have there, the sustainability things that we can accomplish there. There's just so many amazing things about that facility.
That's great. Congratulations.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful too.
Looking 5, 10, or 20 years ahead, what does success truly look like for Heaven Hill?
I think success in 5, 10, 20 years is just continuing to have these beloved brands. Brands that this is
damn good answer.
This is what makes us feel so get all the feels. Like my husband Alan, he will have a backpack on, a Widow Jane backpack in the airport or something, and when someone stops him and it's like, oh, I love that brand.
Mm-hmm.
That is really great. Is really great. And that happens all the time. We're at a pool and halfway around the world chatting with people, just making conversation. And, oh my God, I love Henry McKenna. That's my favorite. That's my go-to. Like things like that really make it be, wow.
You're meaning something to people. It's the best.
Yeah. Because, we say our mission at Heaven Hill is to enhance the enjoyment of life and lift the human spirit. And enjoyment of life comes in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And then you really see their spirit being lifted when they're like, it's not just the everyday consumption of it, but when they get excited. That's, lifting the human spirit.
Incredible. What has leading a 90-year-old family business taught you about patience and perspective?
Yeah, it's really hard to have patience and perspective again all the time when you have this pressure, for sure. But obviously, you have to keep it in perspective. We're not curing life. We're not doing brain surgery on. So you have to keep it in perspective and control what you can control and
Have a little faith.
Have a little faith. Yeah, have a little faith that we're doing the things we know how to do. We're doing the things we know how to do. Where we have this amazing portfolio of brands. We've got amazing people. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Having that confidence and patience for sure.
How has this role reshaped the way you think about legacy, not just professionally, but also personally?
Yeah. Again, it's really such an honor to be in this co-president role and be a leader I'm obviously third generation, to be a leader of my cousins who are, shareholders in the business and keeping them engaged. And it's really such an honor and privilege to have that role. And it feels really good because they really respect everything Alan and I are doing as co-presidents and love being a part of the company. And it's really
must
cool.
Be an organizing principle around your family. Like my friends are the people I work with.
Oh, right.
Truly.
Yeah.
It's hard to have friends outside of work.
Yeah.
And family. And now I'm lucky enough to get to work with Toby, my family. It's
so fun.
Which is enhancing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine that.
I always wonder if my mom was jealous because we got to spend so much time with my dad.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So it is really fun.
Sure.
It is really fun.
Yeah.
What advice would you give your younger self stepping into leadership for the first time?
Starred question.
Younger advice. So many things. I can be too direct sometimes, and trying to be a little bit more empathetic to other people, I think is something that I've really worked on over the years. Knowing that influencing and helping people get to decisions on their own, I think is a skill that I'm always still working on. For sure.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
When you look back on your journey so far, what are you most proud of? Not as an executive, but as a steward.
As a steward. I think one of the most exciting things that's happened for Heaven Hill is the respect that we have garnered in the industry across tiers and media and partners and vendors. And when people think of Heaven Hill, they think of us as people and amazing people and kind people and honest people who are behind the brands. And that's really important to us. Our reputation as a company of how people want to do business with us, why people want to do business with us, makes you feel really good. And that might not be as the competitive spirit of some other companies in the industry, but that sort of respect and reputation is really important for us and to continue to steward.
We are on to the lightning round.
Okay.
One Heaven Hill bottle that never leaves your home.
Well, we're really into our Tequila Ocho Repo right now. Yeah.
Interesting. Nice. Neat rocks or cocktail?
Cocktail. I'm a big paper plane fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
One word that defines Heaven Hill today.
Dynamic.
One word that defines its future.
Relevant.
We have a tradition, albeit
a few months old.
Yeah,
but
five episodes
it's
in.
working. It's working.
Where the previous person sitting in your seat leaves a question for the next person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the question
From
that
another
you're getting
bourbon.
is
Okay.
from another bourbon.
Okay.
It's from Ian Somerhalder from Brothers Bond.
Uh-huh.
As you're building this thing that you're doing, that your heart and soul and passion and probably your livelihood are tied up in, what is the purpose of this mission?
We have so many purposes
Right.
at Heaven Hill. Certainly legacy and impact for our family as shareholders. But again, going back to our mission, enhancing the enjoyment of life for people, all of the billions of people in this world. That's a big one. And then number 3 is our employees. Our employees are that extended family. So I'd say our purpose is sort of threefold. A fourth one is our community. We are very big supporters of our community, want to be good corporate citizens to the communities in which our employees live and work. And so those are really the 4 overarching purposes of why we get up and do all the things.
Now, can you leave a question for the next
gosh,
guest?
I wish I had prep.
Would somebody write this down?
Part of the point is not to have prep, just to be on the fly. And
like whoever is sitting here next, like they're another founder, another brand owner, spirit, like creator.
What is your best playbook for how you're going to navigate the next 3 years of our industry?
It's a great question. Yeah. Kate, we so appreciate this. This has been amazing.
What a
So
pleasure
fun, so
talking to
fun.
you. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yeah.
What an incredible conversation. Kate's story captures what proof of concept is all about: stewardship, patience, and the responsibility that comes with carrying a legacy forward.
Heaven Hill shows what's possible when long-term thinking meets an unwavering commitment to craft. You don't just build great whiskey, you protect a tradition that spans generations.
A huge thank you to Kate and the entire Heaven Hill team for sharing their time, their insight, and the values that continue to define one of the most important distilleries in American whiskey.
If you enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow the Tasting Alliance on Instagram for updates on the world's top spirits and the people redefining what it means to create with intention. A special thank you to the Tasting Alliance team, Amanda, Maddie, Chloe, Chelsea, Annabelle, and Amanda H., without whom none of this would be possible.
We'll be back with another story of heritage, resilience, and the vision required to build something that lasts. Because proof of concept isn't just about what's in the bottle. It's about the people who safeguard the craft behind it. Until then, please drink responsibly. I'm Toby Blue.
And I'm Jason Rabinowitz.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time.
We will see you next time.
Hey, before we wrap, one quick note for our listeners if you enjoyed hearing Kate's story. There's more to come.
The full tasting portion of Heaven Hill, where we break down the nose, palate, and finish to some very special spirits, will be dropping right here on the Proof of Concept feed in just 2 weeks.
Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it, and we'll see you back then for a deeper dive into what's in the glass.